want to absolutely and wholeheartedly welcome this incredibly important motion put forward by Sinn Féin, and to thank them for giving up their valuable PMB slot in order that we can be here tonight, because there's no doubt about it, this can be an incredibly frustrating place where you think quite often that you don't make a difference, and in that sense there's not many good days, if you like, in here. Now, I'm probably the only one here, apart from Brendan, who's from a Defence Forces background, and many staff in the House are. This is a hugely important day. I think I'm not in the habit of congratulating individuals for PMB business, but Angus deserves a huge amount of credit for the patient work he's done on this issue, behind the scenes, cooperatively, not trying to steal a headline, but it's because of that work that when this motion passes, we'll be one step closer to ensuring that no member of the Defence Forces will ever be forced to take the dangerous neurotoxic drug Lariam ever again. And that's incredible as far as I'm concerned. It shouldn't be, but it is, because for years we've been listening to the same standard stock answers, which, in fairness, Minister, you again repeated today. Nobody has died from malaria, but silent on the fact that people have died from Lariam. No, everything, tales of precautions being taken by the medical profession, belied by the reality of life. And I welcome the fact that in passing this motion, when it's passed, a majority of members of this House will be acknowledging the horrific suffering of military personnel who have been given this terribly dangerous drug. Of course, such an acknowledgement isn't going to undo the damage that's been done to these men and women, but we should still acknowledge it. It's the right thing to do, because they have faced the most unspeakable intransigence and stonewalling from the department in their quest to get justice over the years. And I have to say, Minister, that I disagree with your take on the legal action. I think the timing of this motion couldn't be more appropriate, precisely because the first Lariam psychiatric damages cases are listed before the courts on Tuesday. The fact that the hearings are listed for a 3-week hearing really tells us all we need to know about what the state's approach is going to be. You intend to dig in, batten down the hatches and basically deny and probably employ very expensive legal counsel in order to bury citizens' attempts to get justice for the terrible wrong that was done to them. And as far as I'm concerned, this is one of the worst scandals in the history of the state, and let's face it, we have plenty of other ones to be competing with it. We and the department have absolutely clear, incontrovertible and undeniable evidence that Lariam is dangerous, that it damages the brain, that its effects can be long-lasting and permanent, it causes depression, hallucinations, mood swings, bipolar disorder, mania, paranoia, psychosis and suicidal thinking. Other deputies have mentioned, I won't repeat the points, but I will point out that the US FDA is unequivocal in its wording in July 2013 safety report regarding Lariam, saying neurological side effects can occur at any time during drug use and can last for months to years after the drug is stopped, or it can be permanent. The European Medicines Agency is equally unequivocal in its conclusions. They say there is enough evidence from the presented drug safety reports, the submitted literature report and the FDA assessment report supporting a relationship between Lariam and the occurrence of long-lasting and even persistent effects. The FDA statement is 4 years old, and yet the government is still forcing personnel to take this drug. 42 members have been prescribed Lariam this year. It's absolutely incredible. What does the Chief Medical Officer know that the US and British authorities don't know? He doesn't know anything different. What's backing up his decision is stubbornness, and I think it's absolutely disgraceful, particularly when there are other drugs available. And the department's excuses don't hold up to scrutiny. We know that there's no reason for Malaran not to be used. For example, and contrary to what the department has said, the HPRA themselves are clear that using it for more than 28 days does not go against the terms of its licence. Other deputies have said country after country is stopping prescribing Lariam, yet we still threaten our Defence Forces members with disciplinary action if they don't take it, Or worse still, that we've been told that if they have to sign a waiver, and we've proof of this, that before they start taking Lariam, to say that if they so much as report experiencing intolerable side effects, Lariam will be discontinued and they will be considered forever unfit to serve in sub-Saharan Africa. This is so far against best medical ethical principle of first do no harm that we seem to have really stepped in to a different dimension altogether, and it's completely unacceptable. I was going to account the story of one of our personnel and the impact of the drug on him, in the hope that you might be listening, Minister, but I'm not sure actually that you are. But this man started taking the drug when he was in sub-Saharan Africa and almost immediately experienced problems. The problems continue with clinical depression when he returned home. He had many more physical problems, but he put them down to other reasons. He was never told the side effects. After collapsing with seizures, he stopped breathing. He knows he's not the only one. Hundreds have presented with problems, and you know what? The doctor who examined him didn't even know that depression was a side effect. Now, I really salute the efforts of the people in the gallery, of the Action Lariam group, of Tony, of Mark, of their families who've had to put up with them, and all the rest through this battle for justice over the years, along with Andrew Bryce, Remington Nevin and so on. Their efforts, by contrast with the department's intransigence, are really, it's a stark contrast. I mean, the department keeps telling us doxycycline is unsuitable for malaria because it can't be taken in conjunction with dairy products. You repeated that tonight. Are you actually even listening to yourself? If that was the reason, wouldn't it be better that you say, lads, listen, take the drug to protect your mental health, but give up milk while you're doing it, if that was a valid concern? But of course that we know that it isn't, because it's flatly false. That's an incorrect, wrong assertion that you said, because the HPRA has confirmed no advice is given to avoid the consumption of dairy products in the diet while taking doxycycline. And this debate has been riddled with falsehoods from the department at enormous consequences to the health and well-being of the men and women in our defence forces and their long-suffering families, I might add as well. We will see what happens in the court action, but I think it is really time for the department to acknowledge the terrible wrong that has been done to those harms. Take steps to compensate them for that. Dragging people through the court when we know what's going to be the outcome shouldn't happen. Hold your hands up, say that you're sorry, and let the men and women now move on with their lives.